shit up.
All right.
Okay.
So Cage will be debating Mob, and they'll be debating on the topic of moral realism is true, where Cage is affirming. So Cage will give you 7 minutes in the opening, and we'll set the timer whenever you say first word.
Yep.
All right, thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about meta-ethics, woohoo, moral realism. Um, so, look, if I'm going to be using a lot of philosophical terms here, obviously, but don't worry, I'm going to explain it all, so lock in. So, look, when we're talking about meta-ethics, what we're trying to do is offer a candidate hypothesis that best explains this moral language talk that people seem to use all the time. Now, I submit a thesis broadly called realism, more particularly called relaxed realism. Now, realism broadly is made up of three constitutive theses. One, that moral judgments are expressed as beliefs. Two, at least one of these beliefs is true. And three, that the truth of the matter is stance independent. Now, those are broadly vague and will be sort of secondarily shown through these next two commitments I aim to motivate in this discussion. Firstly, that these normative entities are irreducibly normative. Secondly, that these normative entities are not made true by anything. They're truth maker gaps. Now, let's talk about that because that seems to be where people get confused. So, the general take I have is that a truth made reality restricted type of property here. So I take it that a sentence S about the world is true if there's something about the world for which makes it true. Now, notice here that I didn't say anything about actually being in the world. So what does it mean to actually be in the world? What does it mean to sort of exist like this? Well, when I survey the landscape of all objects on offer here, trees, anime, concepts, propositions, I don't see them as distinct. Clearly, a tree does not exist in the same way that Satoru Gojo exists or concepts exist. So I need to submit a thesis for which best explains all of these hypotheses to even get to this sort of truth-making talk here. So the first, I break this down into three sort of candidate ideas here. One, a real existence. Two, a non-trivial existence. Three, a non-ontological existence. And that might seem confusing, but lock in. Something really exists if and only if entity E really exists if and only if E is true and E is that truth maker. Think of obvious things that exist like a tree or cars, right? Now something non-trivially exists if and only if E is true and E is not that truth maker, and there exists some X such that X really exists and makes E true. Think of Satoru Gojo, right? Gojo is a fictional character. However, there exists a guy named Gega or Gege, whatever the fuck you call him, the author of, Jujutsu Kaisen, for which published and wrote all of the relative manga. Absent that fact, Satoru Gojo wouldn't exist. All right, well, now we're left with only this one queer sort of entity, which is propositions in any type of any type. Modal, logical, mathematical, moral. So I submit that these types of propositions non-ontologically exist. And that's just to say that the entity E really exists if and only, non-ontologically exists if and only if E instantiates a type that E instantiates a token that, a token of a type that E is a part of is true in some empty world. Now, what's an empty world doing here? Now, if you don't have any concept of an empty world, I'm just talking about some world that has nothing in it. You know that meme about nothing? Nothing on that bitch. All right, there's nothing in there. If you need to conceptualize it in a way that's like on paper, take a square bracket and another square bracket, and then put an open and closed one. All right, so lock in. Furthermore, I want to say that even in these sort of worlds here, I want to say that there exists some truths, like logical truths, like A is true, or mathematical truths, 1 + 1 = 2. Modal truths, like possibly there exist unicorns, is true. Now, I submit that if you take the thesis that possibly unicorns exist as true, well, what makes that thing true? Remember, lock in. I told you about the TMR, right? The truth made restricted hypothesis, which is just to say that a statement is true. A sentence S about the world is true if there's something about the world for which makes it true. Now, seemingly, it's incredibly implausible to take the view that unicorns possibly don't exist, right? Because then you'd have to point out some type of issue there. for which I lend and will motivate that there is none. Um, there's nothing actually in the world like these traditional realists want to know. And I'm not making an argument for traditional realism. Please keep that in the back of your head. Um, and on these sort of about the world hypotheses, possibly unicorns exist is true because it's talking about how the world could be. I submit that normative entities are true because of how the world should be. And also, I take them that they're also a type of modal proposition. Normative entities are the type of thing for which pertain to some type of modality. Okay, well, on this account, from there, we now understand that there are these normative entities for which aren't made true by anything actually in the world, right? But they exist, and they're a type of irreal thing. You'll hear this distinction probably brought up a lot as some type of queer confusion by my interlocutor, which generally has no weight because it's really easy. Watch, lock in. Something really is true if there exists a truth maker that's actually in the world, and something is irreally true if it's something about the world. All right, so simply put, my interlocutor has a huge sort of hill to climb here. One, he has to motivate that any of these commitments or provide good reasoning to how any of these commitments didn't just click in all your heads right now, like you're not understanding what I'm saying. And secondly, he has to sort of one of them, at least one of them, is false or more plausibly false. And I submit that he won't be able to do that without, doing some type of false view analysis there. But more to the point, this view, right, supports the idea of what all metaethical theses try to do, right? This is the candidate hypothesis, which explains how we understand that these different entities exist. We extend that it's true that Tsutodo Gojo might be the strongest in the cosmos, but we don't think it's true in the same way that the sun exists. It also offers an account such that we can understand normativity in a way that's irreducible. Right? I can't appeal to other types of properties for which they pertain because they're true in empty worlds. There's no other properties. Um, and also that their stance independent, as there's nothing about my stances that make it true. There's nothing about the actual nothing in the world for which makes it true, right? Which meets the burden of realism. And I submit that my interlocutor now has a grandiose task for which he will not fulfill.
Okay. Thank you for your opening statement, and thank you for your candor. Now we can move on to Mob's opening statement. And you'll get 7 minutes on the clock, and it'll start whenever you say your first word.
Wait, hold on. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Oh wait, don't start the time yet. What the hell? I was just checking my mic.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. First off, I'd like to thank Coco and AR for hosting this debate, and I'd also like to thank the judges for taking the time out of their day to listen to this debate. It's good and reassuring to have a panel of such handsome, intelligent judges who are also very handsome and very intelligent. That being said, let's get into the substance. The SCP defines moral realism as a thesis consisting of this conjunct. Moral statements are truth-apt, moral success theory is true, and if moral facts are true, they are true independent of stances, like attitudes, opinions, and goals, etc. Now, Kayj has to affirm all three propositions, and I only have to negate at least one. So there's one way for Kayj to be correct and four ways I can be correct. That means Kayj cannot start the debate by assuming moral statements are truth-apt and that some are true. He must defend these propositions as well. In this debate, I will be defending the disjunct of all anti-realist views, and to do this, I will be providing three arguments to support my position. The first argument comes from Sharon Street and is known as an evolutionary debunking argument. The argument is as follows. Premise 1. If moral realism is reasonable to believe, then our evaluative judgments have been shaped in a way that tracks stance-independent moral facts. Premise 2. If evolution is true, then our evaluative judgments have been shaped in a way that tracks truths related to survival and reproduction. Premise 3. If our evaluative judgments have been shaped in a way that tracks truths related to survival and reproduction, then it's not the case that our evaluative judgments have been shaped in a way that tracks stance-independent moral facts. Premise 4. Evolution is true, and the conclusion that inescapably follows is it is not the case that moral realism is reasonable to believe. The argument starts from the idea that evolution has strongly shaped the content of our evaluative judgments. We need to distinguish two things. Evaluative facts, which are truths like X is a reason to Y, or one ought to X, or X is morally right or wrong, and evaluative judgments or attitudes, which is our desires, approvals, disapprovals, and unreflective tendencies to see X as counting in favor of Y, as well as our explicit judgments about what is good, valuable, or right. Kayj has two possible responses to this, and it's called the Darwinian dilemma. Either it is the fact that our evaluative judgments are shaped to be truth tracking with respect to the evaluative facts, or it isn't. On the second horn, Kayj would simply have to agree with the conclusion of my argument. Since our evaluative judgments do not track these stance-independent moral facts, it is unreasonable to be a moral realist. On the first horn, called the tracking account, Kayj would have to give a reasonable tracking account for how we can come to know these moral facts given evolution. And even if Kayj succeeds, he would have to show that how that account is better than the adaptive link account Sharon Street gives, which, if we get to that point in the debate, I will lay out. Until Kayj demonstrates how he can know these moral facts given evolution, he can't claim to know whether these facts are true or false, and whether these facts are even coherent in the first place, rendering his arguments for realism entirely useless. The second argument I want to use has to do with motivational force behind moral facts. The argument is as follows. Premise one, if moral realism is true, then if you have a moral reason to X, you have some motivation to X. Premise two, there are cases where people have moral reason to X, but no motivation to X. Conclusion, moral realism is false. Why accept P1? Because realists say moral reasons are objective and categorical. They apply regardless of your desires or perspective. But if they're categorical, they can't just sit there inert. They must connect with action guidance. Otherwise, they wouldn't function as reasons. Now, if you accept motivational internalism, P1 is locked in, and the counterexample in P2 sinks realism. But if you reject internalism and go externalist, then you owe us an explanation of how these moral reasons connect to motivation at all. An example for P2 is Randy the Grapist. Randy the Grapist has all his preferences aligned with graping. The realist wants to say that Randy has a reason not to grape. But if Randy has a reason not to grape, then Randy has a motivating reason not to grape. However, Randy is not motivated at all. Without the bridge connecting stance-independent moral facts and motivation, moral facts just hang there inert, unable to guide action. Kayj must say that scenarios like these are actually impossible, but I'd love to see a contradiction drawn without presupposing some arbitrary necessary moral facts without explanation. Moral realism fails to explain the basic parts of how we engage in moral language and how these reasons motivate us to act. The third argument I will give informally, and it's from Kane B, and it's called the problem of authority. Moral norms are supposed to have some sort of authority over our actions. Well, then what makes one moral standard authoritative while another is not? Let me make an analogy. In the game of chess, bishops can move only diagonally according to the rules, but in the game of chess, bishops can move horizontally as well. Now, suppose we play a game of chess, and I ask you, is it acceptable to move my bishop horizontally? Well, the answer is no, but that's only because we both agreed to play the game of chess. If we agreed to play the game of chess, then it would be acceptable to move my bishop horizontally. It's in the same sense that the rules of chess. It's in the sense that the rules of chess don't have authority over us. The same can't be said for moral norms. Why abide by the norms of one moral framework over another? The robust realist at least has some answer to this, because the authoritative moral facts actually exist in the world and are made true by something. In order for Kayj to get around this authority problem, he needs to account for three things. The first, he needs some feature F that explains their authority over us. Second, F must not be shared by some other normative system. And third, F can't be cashed out in metaphysical terms. So F must be internal to the system. So I've laid out three arguments for Kayj to deal with. One challenging is epistemic access to these moral facts, another challenging motivational problems with moral realism, and the third challenging authoritative problems, specifically with relaxed realism. Now, there are other problems with Kayj's view, which will be brought up during this debate. One I will mention is how I think generally all of the arguments for his position fail. Although I'm very new to metaethics, I have never actually seen a sound argument for moral realism, but I'm excited to hear Kayj defend one. So let's get right into the debate. Let's go. That's the end.
All right.
Is that it?
Yeah, that'll conclude the openers, and then we begin the cross examination with Kayj.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know why the semantic question is relevant to the meta ethics. It seems like to turn onto the meta semantics, which I'm fine with. If you're, saying, okay, well, suppose, relaxed realism is true. How do you know these things, right? That's the type of thing you're saying.
It's not just like that's like a broad epistemic question. It's basically given evolution and how to shape our evaluative judgments to track truth related to survival, how would you know these stance independent moral facts? That's the question.
Right. But you understand I'm not cashing out truth in the way Sharon does, right?
Yeah, well, actually, in your opening, you gave an example, like mathematical facts, I think you said. Sharon Street thinks the dilemma does apply to mathematical facts, except she thinks
No, I'm talking.
you can,
No, I'm not. I gave an account of truth, right? TMR restricted, which
yeah, that's
trivially
fine.
is not how
That's not,
Sharon's using it.
her view doesn't attack like a specific view of truth, so.
That's the problem. But let's just
No,
suppose that I grant, that Sharon's argument remotely applies to me. I'll answer the semantic question. So there, by the way, there's a bunch of different ways I can go here. Like, I don't think it's actually entailed by relaxed realism. Somebody, like people in the literature, like Mustafa, might take an intuitionist account. I take a conceptual role semantic account. So how I know, like your question is, how do I know that lying, like normative entities, like lying is wrong is true, as opposed to you should lie being true, right?
given the fact of evolution shaping our evaluative judgments. It's not just an
Right,
epistemic
but
question.
I'm not committed to any of that type of stuff being truth tracking of
You're
something
not
in the
committed.
world.
Are you committed to evolution being true?
Well, yeah, but I'm not committed to truth in
Okay.
the way that she wants to say. Right? She wants to say that I'm committed to tracking things that are in the world, right? Such that evolution is something in the world, which would give me something distinct there. I don't think that's
Can you guys still
applicable,
hear me?
but
Sorry, my
yeah,
mic
we can
cut
hear you.
out. Okay, my bad. Yeah, no,
Um,
that doesn't matter because you can say the same thing with like modal facts or mathematical facts, but Sharon Street addresses this. Like she thinks those types of facts are useful to know for survival, and I can explain how if you want. So it doesn't actually matter.
yeah, I actually would. I want to know how any
Okay.
type of modal semantic is going to be. We can get to the how I know things, but I want to see how this applies because I'm not really familiar.
Okay, I mean we can start with the mathematical facts. Like obviously, two lions go in a cave. One lion walks
Well,
out.
no, let's start. Well, yeah, sure. Let's start. I wanted to start with the modal stuff because that was the actual thing I said in my opening. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like I can draw an evolutionary picture where clearly knowing the mathematical facts is useful for survival. If two lions walk in a cave, one walks out. If we mistakenly think 2 minus 1 is 0, we might go in the cave and die. So it's, or, leaves, plants with 3 leaves are poisonous. Being able to count and know the number 3 could be useful for survival.
Sure. But how does modal? How do modal truths like possibly? And if I take those seriously in such a way that they're actually in the world, like you want to say, how does that? That seems to be good evidence to sort of say, well, there's something about
I'm not
math,
saying that.
particularly,
Oh,
that's not true of the type.
you cut out a ton there. I'm sorry, I missed some of that.
I'm saying that clearly, if I think that it's possibly true that this apple is going to unalive me when I eat it, and I take it seriously in the way that Sharon does, which is to say that it's really true, really true, then I would not eat the apple and unalive.
Yeah, well, obviously, being able to consider different like counterfactuals can be useful for survival because we can be cautious. It allows for like if there's a bush, well, it's possible there's a lion in there. I might want to consider that.
What's meant by
when
cautious
making
there?
it.
By cautious, are you
With
referring to
carefully
like
considering
some
the facts.
undesirable outcome?
Huh?
We have like a 5-second lag, by the way, so that I'm not trying to interrupt you.
It's okay, no
Like
problem.
obvious, your sort of objection was, well, these mathematical facts would be conducive to survival, and these mathematical facts are of a type where, if they're true in the way that I want to say, or if they're true in the way she wants to say, it gives reason to doubt my view. But these modal truths, if they were true, would also do the same thing, but in a way that you don't want to say and supports my view. So clearly, it's not true of the type, and I'm just trying to convey here that normative entities as a type are irreducible and real and all that stuff. But yeah, actually, yeah.
Okay, I mean, I'm trying to give you an account of how knowing the modal facts could help with survival, so we could come to know them.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't in the way that math does, right?
Yeah, we definitely need to be able to consider different possibilities, like the lion in the bush example, right? So we can think of things in those terms.
Okay, we'll cut it off
All
there.
right, time. Okay, so
Then
let's. Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
now Mob gets 5 minutes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, sure. So for the evolutionary debunking argument, the dilemma is that either there is a tracking account with respect to these facts, these moral facts, or there isn't. That's a strict true dichotomy, right? It's P or not P.
Yeah, but
Which one?
you're not using my account of truth there, which is the problem.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm just asking which horn do you accept?
I can't answer the question if you're not inserting the truth. Like what? Okay, can you explain the dilemma to me in the way that you did?
Like, we have evaluative judgments that are based on our faculties that were formed through evolution, right?
Now, no, I don't think they're based on our faculties. No, I think they're just type of like these terms just play inferential roles in discursive practices. That's all they're doing there. I'm not actually causally interacting with them the way you want to say.
You don't. You don't causally interact with mathematical truths, but you could still know them because they're useful. It's useful to know.
Right, but that's not because of my faculties. I'm not experiencing one. I'm not experiencing operators in math, right? So that's why I don't think this applies to me. She wants, like, correct me if I'm wrong here, please, but she wants to say that my faculties track the truth as if I'm like some input-output functionalist about normative belief.
Input-output functionalist? Okay, let me get back. This is like a strict dichotomy, though, right? So you could say
it doesn't apply to me.
Huh? It's a true dichotomy.
Yeah, but it doesn't apply to me under the, like, she's assuming that I'm like, I use my faculties.
It's P or not P.
Wait, but okay, are you assuming that I'm an input-output functionalist when you talk about my faculties tracking the truth?
Wait, define that, input-output functionalist?
Yeah, my belief is formed causally in the way that inspires my belief. Okay, well then what's meant by that?
Causal theory of knowledge, or causal theory of knowledge? No, it doesn't assume that.
Okay, well then what's meant by track the truth with my faculties there?
To be able to come to know them.
Well, how is that based on my faculties?
Like, look, I think that we can come to know things through reason. You don't have to come to know everything through observing the world, but our foundational evaluative judgments were shaped through evolution, our early evolutionary history, right?
That's begging the question, Bob.
How?
Because you're assuming, I take it that the conceptual role these terms play are fixed by the meaning that these terms play are fixed by their inferential role. I don't think that this like foundational knowledge, whatever that means on your view, is true. Like, you'd have to motivate that. Why I'd have to accept that?
Wait, say that one more time.
I think that the meanings of should, ought, right, wrong, I think they're fixed by the inferential role that they play. I don't think that it's a part of whatever type of fact.
In a possible world where humans didn't develop language, is raping children wrong?
Yes. Well, wait.
Okay, how?
Raping children is wrong because it's a non-ontological truth. Yeah, I agree with that.
How?
Well, it might be a mixed normative truth. I want to say that categories like lying is wrong is true, because if I say raping children, then I'm committed to children really existing, which I don't think that's true of my view. I want to say that in some empty world. You're fine with the empty world stuff, right?
I'm not positing an empty world.
Oh, just some world with stuff in it?
No, I said in an impossible world where there's people, we just haven't developed language.
Would raping wrong still be true?
Is raping children still wrong?
Yeah, of course. How I know it is indexed to the conceptual role these terms play. Of course, that's the meta-semantics.
Wait, hold on. Does anything explain the fact that it's wrong in that world?
If by explain, do you mean is the normative entity reducible? No.
I just mean some account of why it's not false. Like, why is it true rather than false?
Yeah. That's my meta-semantics. That's the conceptual role stuff I'm talking about. That's how I know it. That's what explains it. What explains why you should lie or why you shouldn't lie is because of the reasons that act against lying. Right? That's what that tool is picking out there. That's the whole point of the meta-semantics. That's the entire point.
Okay. So what explains why it's true is because it's a reason not to do it?
No. Not what explains why it's true. What explains how I know that this is true, right? If you say what explains why it's...
I'm not like really asking an epistemic question right now. I'm asking...
This is the epistemic argument.
Yeah, I know, but in my hypothetical, I wasn't asking how you know it's true in that world. I'm just asking if there's an explanation for why it's true rather than false in that world.
I don't know what you mean. If you're not asking how I know it in terms of explanation, well, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of agnostic on their modal status. I want to say I'm not agnostic. I might say they're necessary, that they're true, right? but what explains why they're necessary, I'm not really sure.
Okay, yep. We're going to have to stop right there. We're now going to move into the second round of cross-examination. Kayj, you're going to get 5 minutes, and it starts whenever you say your
Right,
first word.
right. So I kind of want to get to the heart of this because we talked before, and you told me you have a concept of SIRs, but you're not really
Yeah.
sure what's being. Okay, well, when I like the meta semantics for my view is CRS, right? Parfit talks about it and all that stuff, which, by the way, isn't entailed from relaxed realism. It could be the case I'm, an intuitionist like, Evan, or, anybody like that. But take it that I think that how I know lying is wrong is true, as opposed to you should lie being true, is because of, the inferential role that the concept plays in the discursive practices, which is just to say that there exists, a set of reasons that count in favor of a view. Now, do you know, like, what I'm talking about when I'm picking out that set of reasons? Is that amenable?
What you're picking out, not exactly, no. Also, wait, I just want to, Parfit thinks like Sharon Street's argument is one of the best ones against his view, right?
Yeah, and I share that. I just think the way you're presenting it is horrible. But look, the point is that on
Okay.
this view, you
That was
have a
rhetorical.
concept of SIRs, right? Like you honestly, okay, so we can like run some like CIG or companions and guild
No,
here. Like,
no, I don't. Do you have an argument
presumably,
for like categorical reasons?
yeah, I'm about to say like companions and guild.
Do
Look,
you have a formal argument? Okay, awesome. Give it.
you want me to give? I'm not going to give it formally. I don't have it formalized, but it's pretty well known. So maybe I'll just like you're fine if I give a parody of it.
Yeah, it's your cross.
Okay, well, take it to be the case that you're arguing with a flat earther, and this flat earther has a set of reasons that which count in favor of their belief in phi, where phi is flat Earth. The reasons are constitutively made up of stance-dependent ones, right, like their attitudes and preferences, and also empirical ones, like maybe some observations that were done in some scientific domain. Well, suppose it that you, a rational, otherwise person, presents them the relevant defeaters, right, for their empirical facts. They're only left with their stance-dependent facts after you present them all the evidence, right, in favor of, the Earth being round, and they say to you, "Well, I still know that it's flat." Do you take it they're doing something epistemically wrong there?
Yeah.
Right, but why would that be the case if what you mean by wrong picks out a set of reasons, and what you think constitutively makes up all reasons are stance-dependent ones? And this sort
Well,
of view,
well, you're asking, okay, like if I want to take the subjectivist route in response to this, you're asking me if I think it's wrong, and I could take like an appraiser relative response to this. So like, index to the person being asked the question, are they doing something epistemically wrong? Yeah, that doesn't commit me to like a stance independent wrongness there.
well, you're okay. How does a appraisal relativist view make this prediction? Not just accommodate it. How is it predicted under that hypothesis?
What's the fact being predicted? That there's a wrongness there?
Yeah, that there's something wrong going on when somebody denies stance-independent reasons and only goes on with their own.
Well, because it's part of my preferences that like I want people to reason.
No, I know it's part of your preferences, right? That's trivial. I'm asking, what about it being a part of your preferences makes it expected that this thing is wrong?
Because that's like what wrongness under like this appraiser relativist view, like wrongness would be a violation of your preferences, like upon like reflective preferences.
Right, but how? Oh, so our preference is propositional, like some type of, I'm just gonna try and run this, myth of the given stuff. Like, did somebody were these values of yours that make this appraisal given to you?
Were they given to me?
Yeah, like, is there any like reduction of them? Like the reduction of values? Is there some type of terminal value there?
Like I'm sure there's not like an infinite regress if that's what you're asking.
Okay, well, then if they're just given to you and there's no further explanation as to why, it seems like it's just accommodated under your hypothesis that it's coincidentally the case that you think that this person's doing something wrong. On my view, it's expected that all types of this sort of ongoing here are wrong. Right, so I'm not seeing how your hypothesis is doing any sort of explanatory work there. But okay, well, moving on. My two sort of commitments here are irreducible normativity and truth-making gaps. Right, those are the things I'm committed to, particularly. Do you have any specific issues with either one? Like, we'll talk about
Well, I
Kane's
don't.
issues with it.
Yeah, I don't see a good sound argument for them.
You didn't hear my opening?
You didn't have any formally valid arguments in your opening.
Oh, you want me to formalize it?
Well, I said the word sound.
And with that, we have to call it. Mob, it's now going to be your turn. You're going to get 5 minutes for your cross-examination. Starts whenever you say your first word.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I guess we can go on to motivation questions. So let me ask you this, why are you not a robust realist? Like, what, do you have problems with that view, or do you think they're like
Yeah.
contradictory? Or?
No, they're not contradictory. I just think that types of arguments against those views, Moore's OQA and Kopp's objections, particularly to various accounts of existence under those various views, are compelling to me, which is why relaxed realism is a thing, or non-cognitive realism is a thing.
Okay, so you agree there are none of those metaphysical entities, or they're not reasonable. Okay, like if you were to find out naturalism is true.
I don't think there's no entity. Remember, I think they non-ontologically exist, right? I think they exist.
Yeah.
They're just not real.
Okay, like if you were to find out naturalism is true, there's none of these other metaphysical entities, you'd still think grape is bad is true because you're a relaxed realist, right?
Yeah. Well, am I a naturalist?
Yeah.
Like, are you asking me if naturalism is true, would grape be wrong?
Huh?
Are you asking me if naturalism is true and I'm no longer a relaxed realist? Is grape wrong?
No, I'm just the first part. If you find out naturalism is true.
Would grape be wrong?
Yeah.
Plausibly, yeah, of course.
Plausibly?
Well, yeah, I've heard some people make arguments against it, but yeah, I'm fine with saying yes, of course. Let's move on.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, let's say there's a possible world you find out the proposition baby torture is good. Okay, stands independently good. Would you do it?
Would I do it?
Yeah.
No, probably not. No, I'm not motivated to.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you'd call me wrong for doing so, right?
Yeah, but I don't need to do that in a stance like independent way. But why wouldn't you do it if that's what's good?
Well, it's not what's well. If what you mean by good is what you only have reason for, presumably I have attitudes for it as well. But take it that those attitudes are, impotent, right? The reason why I'm motivated is because of my desires. That doesn't mean I can't be wrong, right? A grapist is motivated by his desires more than reason. We still call them wrong.
Yeah. Okay. So you actually agree that the kind of like the stance, these stands independent facts, which ones are true, which ones are false, based on hypothetical, doesn't really matter to how you act, and they're not motivating at all. Correct?
I didn't say that. I actually said the exact opposite just now, Mom.
No, you just said you wouldn't torture babies. You found out it was true.
Yeah, and if I had stance independent reason too, and I acted in line with my motivations, supposedly I'd be doing something wrong in the same way that if I had attitudes towards doing it and had reasons against it, I'd be wrong.
I'm not asking if you do something wrong. I'm asking, would you do it, or would you be motivated to?
I already answered this.
Yeah, and you said no, right?
I would not be motivated to do it, no.
Yeah, okay, and I think that's actually a huge problem that your view has. It doesn't explain actually how we engage in moral language. They're clearly not motivating. These facts are clearly not motivating you to act. And those are two things, according to the SCP, that a meta-ethical
Wait,
is supposed
let's
to
just get
explain.
clear here. You think I'm not offering a meta-semantic thesis by how people use moral language? You think I haven't offered that yet?
I think you're offering one that doesn't work. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well then you can't say I haven't offered one, or my view doesn't offer one, right? That's just lying.
No, I never said you didn't offer one. I said it doesn't explain the facts it purports to explain well. And the counter
It explains how
example.
people use moral language, of course it does.
No, it doesn't. You don't even.
Do you mind if I give you an intuition bump?
No, you can do that on your cross. You don't even do it. You don't even do that. You don't even engage in the language that way, because I just asked you if it was stance independently true that you ought grape children. Would you do it? You're like, no, and I wouldn't even be motivated to.
So just to be clear, you're stipulating that there are stance-independent reasons that you don't have a concept of, by the way, for a action that is intuitively wrong.
You said earlier I have a concept of them. You literally said, you told me you had a concept of them.
Right, but you never.
You said
Right,
that
so
last
you
time.
so you do have a
Okay.
concept of them, but
Wait, so I
I'm not allowed
do?
to ask you a question. What's the next question?
I do and I don't have a concept of them.
What's the next question?
Is that what you're saying? Okay. Well, yeah, I'm just trying to point out. I only got 10 seconds left, so I'm just going to say I'm just trying to point out. I don't think Kayj even uses the language that he purports he does, and his theory fails to explain. Okay, sorry. Time it up. Okay, so it's the last cross now.
Yep, right. We're moving on to the third and last final cross-examination. Kayj, you get 5 minutes, and I'll start whenever you say your first word.
Right, so Mob has charged me, which I think is funny, with my meta-ethical view not offering a meta-semantic thesis, which is relatively trivial. I don't think a subjectivist explains how they know their terminal values are their terminal values. But moving forth, obviously how people use the moral language may not always be in favor of their motivations. Obviously, here's an intuition that I think a lot of us here on TikTok can accept. If you're somebody who struggles with MDS, or MDD, major depressive disorder, you might be lying in your bed without the desire or any attitudes for which that you want to get up in the morning. You might actually have attitudes heavily in favor against that thing. However, you still know, and people still use the language that I should get up. I know I should get up, Mom. If that doesn't make sense of how people use the language, let me take the classic existential dad in his 30s. I should work out, I should treat my kids better, so on and so forth. But, Mop, do you think you use the language that way when you charge people epistemically with being wrong in their formation of their beliefs?
Do I use the language the same way the dad does? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're asking?
No, my question: when you charge somebody with being epistemically wrong in virtue of this stance-dependent reasons, you understand they're not motivated by your charge or the fact that there are SIRs to change their view, right?
Not intrinsically.
Right, but what follows from that, right? What follows from that is you call them wrong. You say what they did is wrong. It doesn't dispel the idea that that's not how we use moral language. It just dispels or promotes the evidence that people can be wrong, and wrong decisively, right? But I'm curious. You actually have not said anything about truth makers. Do you take it that truth maker gaps are a valid concept? Do you have any issues with them?
No. Can you motivate it?
Right. I mean, your standard is formal arguments. So
No,
truth making gaps.
You don't have to give me formal. You don't have to.
Okay. Well, you remember my thing of truth, right? My TMR, the truth made reality restricted hypothesis.
Hold on. I wrote. Let me see. So there's like real.
Okay. Well, we'll just move forward. Whatever. It's fine. On the truth made restricted hypothesis, I'm assuming you wrote it down, so just read that. Do you agree that hypothesis, that candidate, best explains how we use a bunch of types of languages, modal, logical?
I think that's actually pretty contentious. There's a lot of philosophers that are modal realists. They think, possible worlds are concrete. They think possible worlds are abstract. They're fictionalists about it. There's even Kaysian metaphysics. Are you familiar with the Kaysian metaphysics?
Are you willing to motivate any of those?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, hold on. Let me just first note that I'm kind of running these possible other explanations as undercutting defeaters. For you to actually say there is this that your truth maker theory is correct, you're gonna have to disprove these ones. It's not my job to prove them, okay? But if you're asking me to,
it is your job. I offered you an account. You're saying it's wrong in virtue of these. Prove those.
No, I'm saying I'm not convinced.
Oh, you're just saying you're not convinced. Okay, well, what about my view on truth making about reality? You agree possibly unicorns exist as a true modal statement, right?
I would say so.
Okay, well then, what makes that statement true?
Well, it could be I already gave you.
No, on your view, what makes it true? I'm not asking what it could be. Asking what, on your view, why is that statement true? Or more aptly put, what doesn't make it true?
I gave you tons of accounts before. Those all can account.
Yeah, can you repeat yours? I'm interested in yours.
Oh, I'm agnostic.
Okay, so you're agnostic about whether or not there's a truth maker for modal truths. But you agree that it's true, and this candidate hypothesis explains it and accounts for the intuitions and how people use the language, and explains modal deliberation, between those concrete moral realists, so there's modal realists and modal anti-realists. It also explains, by the way, how mathematical anti-realists use the language, which I've heard you are. Is that true? You're an anti-realist about math?
Who told you that?
Can I get a yes or no?
Sorry, can you define mathematical anti-realism? Is it just there are no
view that math is not real entities, and I already cashed out real early. Like, they don't really exist.
I'm agnostic.
Okay, so you're agnostic about that. Whatever. It seems like you're agnostic about everything, but I guess that's your burden in this debate. Okay, well, we'll skip truth-making gaps. Do you think anything's wrong about irreducible normativity?
Okay.
Okay, you can answer that, and then we'll move on to your cross after that.
Yep.
Okay. Wait. I'm not. I'm gonna go on to like my questions.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep. Go for it.
When you say goodness, like what does the term like goodness mean?
Yeah, so I've told you 3 times now. Goodness, right, rightness, wrongness, badness, all of these are just conceptual tools we use in role of making inferential judgments and moral deliberations. That's all they do. That's how they have their fixed meaning.
Okay. How do you bridge the gap between gastronomic realism and moral realism? Can't I make the exact same account for a gastronomic realism?
You have a formal argument for that?
Like I just mirror what you're doing with moral realism. Oh my god, this guy's shining his lights right at me. So annoying. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, what was the question? What was the question?
Like, can't I just use your like kind of functionalist account and make the exact same point with gastronomic realism and be like, yeah, gastronomic realism is true. There are stance independent reasons for, tacos being better than ice cream. And can't I just give the exact same account? What's the symmetry breaker there? Or would you say that's plausible?
No, I wouldn't say that. The way I've structured it is plausible, because when you say, I like eating tacos, or tacos are better than ice cream, you're actually ontologically committed, which is just to beg the question against my Minuinian stuff I've presented you twice now.
No, like if I were to say you ought eat tacos over ice cream.
Is you an indexical that commits you to a subject existing?
So when you say you ought not rape children, is you an indexical that commits you to you?
Well, that's a mix. So I actually told you this. This will be the second time. I think that's a mixed normative truth. I committed to normative truths. I remember my definition of non-ontologically existent. Entity E exists if and only if E instantiates a token of the type that E pertains to. Is true in an empty world. That's why I have that definition, as opposed to an entity E non-ontologically exists only if and only if E is true in an empty world. That's the whole point as to why I didn't say that. When
I say you ought eat tacos over ice cream, that's a mixed statement as well.
It's a mixed normative truth, for which I would not think applies structurally to my argument. For the third time now,
why?
I don't. Well, for the second time, I'll tell you, because of my Minuinian semantics, where I okay, this would work, Mob, and I'll be real, I'll be true. This would work if I defined, normative entities that are non-ontologically existent, where what I mean is entity E is true in some empty world. That'd be fine. But the reason why I define it as I do is to get away from those types of commitments, right? Those types of statements. It's why, that's literally the whole thing about it. Evan wrote a paper on it. I'll link you after.
Okay. I only have 2 minutes. I really wanted to get back to the evolutionary debunking argument. I guess, is this the last 2 minutes in the debate? Or wait, is there another? This is the last 2 minutes, right? Okay. So I guess let me ask you this. Do you successfully think you've answered the evolutionary debunking argument?
If what you mean is, did I not answer it because it assumes things that beg the question against my view? No.
Did you not answer it? No.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Answer
it begs the question against my view. And you didn't provide a response to why it begs the question.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a true. The question I asked you was a true dichotomy. It doesn't really matter about what's assumed. It's a true dichotomy. It's either P or not P. Do you think there's a third option?
I don't think the meaning of the words, right, the conceptual role that are designated by the contradiction or by the disjunction there are actually picking out my view. I think it's a cookie cutter argument against non-realist cognitivism generally, not my view.
Okay, do you remember the P or not P I asked you?
No.
Okay, then how can you say it doesn't purport or it's begging the question? How do you say it?
I said,
Yeah.
because I asked you, I remember telling you, hey, look, the way she uses truth here is in a way that really exists, such that in the same way that evolution really exists, which I don't cash those two out in the same way. Right? That's
Yeah,
not me
but
saying
I told
evolution
you.
doesn't exist, by the way. That's me saying evolution doesn't. Evolution really exists, and normative entities don't really exist.
No, well, I responded by saying Sharon Street's her argument doesn't need to commit to a particular theory of truth, and actually, people that like relaxed realists do actually think this is a big problem. They have responded to the argument. So I don't think you quite understand the argument.
Who's a relaxed realist or not a like? Because I think non-realist cognitivists have relaxed realists.
Okay, we're gonna have to stop right there.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna go into your guys'
closers.
final statements, your concluding statements.
Yep.
So, Kayj, you're gonna get 3 minutes, and it starts whenever you say your first word.
All right, boys and girls, it's over. Finally, holy shit, my stress is done. Look, lock in. I delivered sort of my entirety of my view. Mob seemingly has intuitions that agree with the first three part of my thesis, right? He has cognitivism, right? He has not-error theory, and it even seems like he has stance independence, or a concept of it at least, which, I mean, he didn't sort of argue against that, which seems to think that realism broadly might be amenable to him, but more particularly the thesis I aim to defend was relaxed realism. Now, notice I didn't say non-realist cognitivism, but I asked him during the debate about truth-making gaps. He seemed to be agnostic on everything, which, I take it that you actually have to have some foothold if you're going to levy an objection against a view after I've motivated it, right? Obviously, if I haven't motivated it, then you can dispel something with no evidence. But then we talked, and it was relatively unsatisfactory. He doesn't have an account of truth-making. He seems to not understand how I dispel the general intuition that the folk typically want to say they have, where a sentence S is true if and only, or a sentence S that's in the, or commenting about what's in the world is true if there's something that's in the world that's true. Right? I distinguish that from there's something, a sentence S is true, a sentence S about the world is true if there's something about the world that's true, which explains the confusion on Sharon's account. I do agree that her argument broadly is, interesting to the non-realist cognitivist, but I don't think applies to this specific view of relaxed realism, the one that I run anyways, with the whole truth tracking things that he couldn't explain. Then we talked about irreducible normativity, right? He asked me to motivate it and asked for a formal argument, but I think I gave some extent of irreducible normativity when I gave the type of truth-making account that I did where they don't exist, right? I can't appeal to non-natural entities or natural entities if it's an empty world, for which he agreed to, which seemed to follow. If he agrees that these things can exist in an empty world, they'd be irreducible. But yeah, look, it was a fun debate. The other two objections, right, one didn't even follow. The last one he levied against me about the relative types of how I know these things. It seemed like he wasn't either A, listening, or B, locked the fuck in, like I said. I offered an account of metasemantics, which is not the relaxed realist stuff, right? I could have adopted intuitionist semantics, and, it would have been a very different debate. So Mob's burden was to establish relaxed realism is false. It seems like he wants to grant it and say, well, let's assume this thing is true and levy other objections that unfortunately all fail, which leave the fact that relaxed realism is true. He also didn't meet the burden that I set out in the first place. It seems like he granted most of it, outside of the irreducible normativity and being agnostic on the truth-making gaps whilst having those intuitions that they're true. So it seems like, he should grant them. But anyways, that's the end of the debate. Mob, I thank you for your time. Judges, hosts, you know what it is.
All right, that'll conclude the debate. Oh no, wait, no. I think Mob gets a close. Sorry.
Yeah, Mob gets a closer.
Gets a close, and then we'll conclude. Yeah, right.
Okay. That was definitely a fun debate. The past 2 weeks I've debated meta ethics. I learned a lot about it. It's definitely been really fun and interesting. And Kayj, you're a very smart guy. That was fun. But as for the debate, Kayj didn't give any formal arguments, which, I mean, this is a debate. You know, this isn't like a random TikTok live. You should come with premises and inferences ready to, you know, defend your premises that lead to your conclusion. But he didn't give any. The closest he got was the companions and guilt one, which I believe I answered. And also, I believe with the hypotheticals about Randy and the baby torture and the possible worlds, I kind of showed how he doesn't even really use the language he purports to use in his meta-ethical view. And I kind of showed how it doesn't explain how we generally use the language. And I kind of showed how these stance-independent reasons aren't motivating in any relevant sense that a meta-ethical theory would need to explain. And for the evolutionary debunking argument, I don't think he answered. I think like he was kind of getting close to like a quasi-realist way out, which I don't consider a realist view, obviously. So that wouldn't answer the problem. But yeah, Sharon Street's argument definitely does apply to relaxed realists. Yeah, it was definitely a very interesting debate. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of other things. I can't think of anything else to touch on. It was fun though, so I'm just gonna end my closing.
Okay. And with that, that's the conclusion of the debate. Thank you guys.
Dude, Mob, somebody told, I can finally tell you this. Tuesday, somebody told me that you were contracting with Kane for hours on my demise.
It was not hours. It was like 30 minutes maybe. But I did talk to Kane. Yeah.
Okay. With that, we're going to do audience questions, comments, concerns, or critiques, and then we'll get to the judges.
Dude, you took Evan away. I was like, dude, I can't wait to like actually finally get to flush out my view in a formal way. I've been meaning to do it for months. And then you were like, oh yeah, we'll get Evan to judge. And I was like, yeah, you did that on purpose. Fuck you.
Yeah, you're not getting any help from Evan. Get out of here.
But yeah, Noe, what you got for us?
Hey, how are you? So, if we're talking about evolution, are we like atheists here, or no? I'm
Actually, ironically, I think
I'm honest. I'm honestly asking, like, you know, the host, for example, is he an atheist or?
My guy,
get him out.
this is
Great start. Great start.
You can ask me a better question.
yeah, my guy. This is question, comments, concerns, or critiques about.
I don't know what was that about. This is a better ethical debate, not about theism, you know, or about me.
Why is there two Detroiters?
Yeah, question for Kayj. How did it feel getting skull fucked by Mob and knowledge gapped? You got your backbone out. You look so bad in that debate.
Hi, Clark.
That was Clark.
Dude, I haven't seen Clark for ages. Where did he go?
I don't know.
Well, he's well, my mods blocked him, so.
Yeah, because he's toxic. He literally just said skull fucking.
Wild.
Dude, I'm
No
more scared of what Evan's about to say than like losing this fucking debate, bro. Like, what the fuck?
He voted for you on the side things.
Yeah, but he's just biased because I quoted like.
That's not my vote necessarily. I was just trying to see what the vote was because it doesn't let you see. Just so you know. Just so you know.
With that, we can get the judges, bro.
Okay, all right. So judges, I mean, are you guys ready?
I'll go last. I'll go last because I have a lot to say.
No. That's fucked up.
That's scaring me. Oh god.
Damn. All right. Friction.
Somebody else go first.
Okay. Yeah. Oh my god.
Okay.
Oof. I don't know if I. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Fucking hell, is my thing? Hello? Okay.
Damn.
trying to give me an anxiety attack. Can you just fucking go, please?
Holy
Okay,
shit! Yeah, come on.
okay, here's my judgment on the debate. This is as honest as I could give it. I think it was really good. It's definitely been the best debate of the day. It was actually interesting, so I enjoyed it. The openers, I said they were tied. They were both rhetorical. I almost gave it to Mob because Mob called me handsome and intelligent, but I thought that would be a little bit wrong to do that. So I just said the openers are tied. Round one, I gave to Kayj just because I do see the evolutionary debunking argument as being the type of thing which is question begging on his position, given how he laid out the eerily true as what moral facts would be contained in. So if you're saying what real thing motivates your reasons to believe this, that isn't going to necessarily fall in line with what Kayj classified these sorts of truths as. So I gave round one to Kayj because he was right. It is question begging on his position, at least how I understood his position. Round two, I gave to Mob. This one was close. I just thought Mob was rhetorically better. Same sort of substances given in this round, but this was like the round, I believe, where there was like in some possible world where this is wrong, would you still do it? And Kayj says, well, I have no reasons to do it, so no. However, I do also want to bring up that at an earlier point in the debate, Kayj did say that these could be necessary facts, so that also could be another type of question begging on Kayj's position. I don't think Kayj ever justified that, though, so, I mean, I guess you're kind of justified in that sort of questioning. Round three, I gave to Mob. I thought that it was stronger on his position, although I did think that rhetorically he was weaker. His substance that he laid out near the end was better, so I did give it to Mob just because, like, he did motivate that, like, these sorts of stance-independent reasons might not exist. And then the conclusion I gave to Kayj because Mob didn't really have a conclusion, and I
Piece of shit, you know that?
I overall side with Kayj.
No, fuck you. Choose one.
I said Kayj is who I'm deciding with just because your rhetoric over the debate, in my opinion, was stronger than Mob's. And I do agree with your substance.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I found the view rather strange, but I'm not gonna let that really influence my judgment all that much. So, commenting just first on some of the arguments that were discussed, the evolutionary debunking arguments, I would have thought there would be some sort of response along the lines of, well, if you're taking a conceptual role semantics approach, then you could say something in effect of, well, we are, it is sort of expected on evolution that we'd be able to understand the function of our discourse in various ways. And maybe you don't need more than that. If it's not having to track objects out there in the world, then like, what more are you expecting from the our knowledge or understanding of the moral facts? Maybe he said something along those lines. I'm not sure, but maybe I didn't say that great. But anyway, so yeah, that seemed okay. I wasn't sure. The whole point about the moral motivation seemed to be kind of irrelevant. I don't know. Maybe Kayj could have responded to it better, but I wasn't sure why. Like, if we just said that it's not a consequence of there being these moral facts that we would have, that we'd be motivated to act on them, or that we'd be motivated to act on them if we believed in them or whatever. Maybe gestured in that direction, sort of. I don't think he said something like that directly. But if he said that, then like, what's the point? I'm not sure. That it's sort of built into realism that there's some sort of motivational component. Mob seemed to be concerned that the guiding force of it would be lost, but that didn't seem very clear to me. And I mean, that could maybe develop further, but regardless, I didn't think that was a good idea in this way. Other stuff that came up, yeah, the stuff about, so then we gave the example, like, of suppose it were a true moral fact that it's right to, I don't know, commit rape or whatever. would he do it? Just him saying no, I don't see why that would be a problem. But yeah, I think probably Mob didn't do a great job discussing some of the, albeit unusual, views that Kayj brought up, having to do with some of this, there being non-ontologically real and yada yada yada. Maybe that would require more of a discussion to get clear on that for him. But that made it look like Kayj did well at that point. Yeah, I mean, I'll give it to Kayj overall. I thought that his view was really strange, and some of the discussion could have been better. But yeah, it was a good vote.
All right.
I'm so fucking nervous.
Relax. Okay, listen. I will not
Sorry,
cast a vote because both of you did not amazing. And plus, it doesn't matter what I vote. So, I mean, I wrote down as we went. I mean, with your opening speech, Kayj, you should have outlined the conceptual role semantics that you were taking on. And if you take on the conceptual role semantics, I have literally zero clue why you mention any of the Minogian semantics I developed, because those are meant to be referentialist. I also don't know why you bring up any of the truth-making principles, because you, again, don't really need them. And I also don't understand how, if you take on the conceptual role semantics, you can have access to the referentialist explanation that in my papers I give for, how fictional language is used, like with the Gojo case, or like how non-fictional language is used with morality or trees. I don't know. Then going on to Mob's speech, thought it was good. It was fine. You gave 3 arguments. I don't personally think any of them are very good, but you kind of just didn't really go for the second or third argument and the entire rest of the debate. I have no clue why you didn't. I mean, you kind of gestured at the motivational argument, but you didn't go hard on it like you did the evolutionary debunking argument. You just completely dropped the problem of authority that you got from K and B. I mean, I think you should have gone for that. Okay, so then going to the first speech where you went over the EDA, there's a lot of stuff here. So, I mean, the first thing is, it is a dichotomy. Either they do track or they don't track. Just because you take on conceptual role semantics doesn't mean you get out of it. Now, I get what you were doing, Kayj, by saying, you said, quote, "I'm not tracking things in the world. She isn't talking about what I'm talking about." I get what you're saying, but you should just say then that you take the don't track part of the dichotomy, like we don't have faculties that are designed to track these things, but then say that the inference from that to, the evolutionary debunking argument works. That's just false. And I think you just haphazardly invoking the conceptual role semantics that you didn't articulate in your first speech during cross-ex was really sneaky and very bad. And I think you need to do more to explain it. Like, one, you need to explain why the conceptual role semantics gets you stance independence, why it distinguishes you from quasi-realist views, which Mob kind of mentioned it at the end, but you should have mentioned earlier. Seems like your view collapses into. You also need to explain more how, knowing the meaning of the terms, which are fixed by their inferential roles, how that allows you to know what the pure moral truths are, or even what the mixed moral truths are. You didn't give any account of that. So, I mean, I don't think it goes either way, because also Mob was not engaging with it well. Then let's see. Then there was just kind of this brief exchange. So you just completely failed at giving a companions and guilt argument. And then Mob brought up appraiser relativism. I mean, I think he got you there. I don't think you did anything in reply. I think there are things you can do in reply. Like, you can give really simple reductios. I mean, he'll try and explain them away, but you should just go back and forth on that point. Then Mob did some type of questioning, which was like, if this thing, or if naturalism was true, would rape still be wrong? I mean, you can say yes. Wait, can you still hear me? Sorry, I cut out.
We can hear you.
Yeah, don't worry, you're breaking my
You
shoulders.
you could still say yes. Like, you need him to explain what naturalism means. On certain, articulations of relaxed realism, it's consistent with naturalism, at least as a metaphysical thesis, since it's saying there are these non-metaphysical entities. But I mean, even if you articulate it as a broader one, I mean, you said yes, and then Mob just didn't push you on it at all. He should have said that kind of counts against your view. And then he asked you if you found out baby torture was, stands independently good, would you do it? And you said no. And then he said, why if it's good? And you said, I don't want to, but I'd be wrong. And then he said, so these reasons aren't motivating. I get what you're doing, Mob, but I think you went for it in the wrong way. I mean, one, you should have just made the moral argument, which is what I think you're kind of getting at, just a fourth independent argument. Two, you should have articulated it not in terms of what he would do, but whether or not it would be right or wrong, and then stress the absurdity of, it still being it being wrong. So I think Kayj actually responded to it as best as you possibly could, given the framing. I mean, you should have pressed him more. Then you asked him, what does goodness mean? And he invoked conceptual role semantics. That doesn't answer the question. You should have, Kayj, you should have said what the conceptual role or the inferential role that the term good plays. You didn't do that. And Mob, you should have pointed that out. And then what was the last thing you said? Oh, then you brought up gastronomic realism. You also, Mob, you should have also articulated this as maybe a fifth argument. You should have had all this written out as arguments and not just like put them forward in passing. And then, Kayj, you said, I get around the gastronomic realism charge through, quote, my Minogian semantics. But Minogian semantics, at least as I've developed them, are referentialists, not conceptual role semantics. So I have no clue what you're talking about, how you get around it. And even if you took on conceptual role semantics, which you say you do, you need to explain why either why we shouldn't take on conceptual role semantics for gastronomic terms or other related terms, but we should for moral terms. You didn't do that. So even if you said my conceptual role semantics, what does that tells us nothing. So you both did bad. I'm not voting for either of you because it doesn't matter who I vote for, and I actually just don't think
No, you gotta vote.
you won.
You gotta vote.
So. What?
You gotta vote. Come on.
I'm not voting. It's so bad.
You have to.
No, I'm not doing it. It doesn't matter.
Tie?
Well, no, because it's already 2-0. So no matter which way I vote, I mean, it's just so bad. Like, I don't know what to do because Kayj just dropped 2 of your 3 arguments. Then the one, but you don't pursue them. And then the one argument you pursue, he gives, I think, a technically successful response. But he doesn't articulate it, and he doesn't do it in the first speech. So I have no idea how to weigh this. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, neither of you did your jobs. Neither of you deserve to win the round.
Who didn't do their job worse?
That's a good question. Who did their job worse? Honestly, you know what, Mob? You did your job worse. So, because you had so much more ground and so much more to do. So, you know what, Kayj, you can have the win. Unfortunately, I have to say that.
Doesn't make me any fucking happier, Evan, when you just sat there for 5 minutes pointing out all my insecurities eternally. Fuck, now I have to go and whatever. Thank you, though.
Yeah, but there was something I thought of that I didn't bring up. When you're trying to draw that distinction between, the symmetry breaker between your view and the gastronomic realist, and saying that the gastronomic realist is coming into these, but you're taking the realist view. You said something along those lines of apparently a symmetry breaker. But like,
Every
is that
debate
correct?
is unanimous.
I can't hear
No.
you for like Detroit. Like it's really hard to hear.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you. All I heard was I provided some type of symmetry breaker between gastronomic realism and my view.
Yeah, was what you said something to the effect of like the gastronomic view they're committed to the real existence of these entities, like foods and people and so on. But then on your view, is like your realist view, you're not committed to that, at least for the pure moral truths or whatever.
Well, yeah, because I think they'd all be mixed. Right? They'd all be sort of indexed. Either there's an indexical present, or
Right, but
there's
you
some.
also believe in the mixed normative view, right? Or no?
Yeah.
Like, for example,
Mob
it is
didn't point
true-
that out. No, I get what
Yeah.
you're saying. Mob didn't point it out though, and I realized after I said it. And the reason, I know the judgments are up, so don't judge this, but the reason I didn't
obviously
give the meta-semantic stuff at the beginning was A, because I didn't really have time, but B, because I thought if I put it on, like, the reason why I adopt that stuff after adopting all of your stuff, Evan, is because if I adopt all of your stuff, it seems to be that I don't just reference, like, maybe this is my sort of, it seems to be that if I adopt all the, partners and innocence argument stuff you have written, I'm left with, okay, well, how the fuck do I know lying is wrong as opposed to, you should lie is wrong? Or, sorry, you should lie is true? And I, sat and I thought, I'm like, I know that you're a referentialist about things, and that's probably why that semantics was built. But I was also trying to accommodate the intuition that moral truths exist. And I want to say they exist in a deflationary way, while also being able to know about them. And, I spoke to a lot of people about it, Don, Eric, not about this specifically, but the main objection I got, which Mob didn't object to, Mob, you actually supported it, was how do I know these moral truths if I don't stand in causal relation to them? I feel like you could have pressed me on that a whole lot harder.
Yeah, but it sounded like you were just going to deny us, like, causal theory.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. But you're right, Mob. I should have given more. Oh, fuck. Hi, Hegel. How are you?
What's good? What's good? I think both Evan and Detroit are here. You gotta switch your vote. I just feel like the EDA obviously went through. Like, I agree it wasn't presented incredibly, but the responses were just so confused, right?
His responses are technically correct. Like, if you go
sure. I think he gestures at what could be a response, but I feel like that doesn't count as giving a response to the argument, right?
I think it does. This is the thing. Like, this is a debate. If Mob just leaves it inert, what am I supposed to do?
Well, I think when you adopt a sort of wacky view, I think you have the burden to explain how this wacky view
it's not really okay. This is me talking. It's not actually a wacky
I guess maybe
view. Like,
I'm gonna appeal to Detroit here then. Maybe
this is not he's not articulating it right, and he's mixing things. Like, he's taking, I think, improperly from my referentialist semantics, and then taking from people like Thomason and Karimi's conceptual role semantics. But it's one it's not like a wacky, insane view or something like that. Like, conceptual role semantics, I think it's a plausible way to look at moral language. It's just
maybe some of the parts on their own aren't wacky, but like the
combination
whole view together is definitely kind of wacky.
It's the wacky thing, right?
Well, right, but he, in his response at least, he's pulling from the conceptual role semantics, which I don't think it's a bad response. And I think,
at some point, the issue is just that at some point
he didn't
he also
poorly
pulls from
articulate it even. Like, the way he put it, I think, was fine. Like, I have it written down. He said, like, well, I know the conceptual role of these terms, and that's how I know the moral truths. And that's correct.
Oh, if that was said, I did not hear that. I guess that does.
That is what
that is the
said.
response,
like that.
And that's fine, but that's not enough. Like, Mom needs to do something like, he can either restructure the EDA to concern conceptual roles. Like, I don't see why he couldn't do that quickly as a point in the debate to do it, but he didn't do it.
I guess there was just so much said that wasn't the very simple response, which is just, I know the conceptual roles, so that's that, right? But I just
Feels like
I
I'm
don't think
back in undergrad. Oh my god, this feels like my fucking profs are hating on me again. Jesus Christ.
I just don't think it's on mob
to semantics to answer what the meanings of the term are, though.
Well,
wait, what are you saying?
It would have been nice, right? It would have been nice if I could have fucking, reached out to the one motherfucker.
Sorry.
Are you saying it's not on mob to respond to it?
It's not on mob
to
pick out the one correct response out of the sort of this sounds way like it's way more hate than I mean it, but out of the sort of like jumbled mess that was the rest of it, maybe we have different views of the role that you have in the debate, but I think that if you just sort of give a bunch of responses, right, and 9 out of 10 of them are confused, I don't think it's on your opponent to select for you the correct one and then respond to it. But maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I don't think
giving more bad.
I don't think I'm following what you're saying.
Against
Charsky. What you're saying? What do you not think mob has the burden to do? Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think mob has the burden to, out of a very confused response, select a sort of kernel of truth and then respond to that.
Well, here's the thing. Like, the view is confused, but the response is not confused.
Well, I agree that response is it, but it's if all that was said.
Then what response are you talking about? If it's not,
I'm talking about all of the other things that were said about how it assumes this theory of the theory of truth.
Well, right. So that was that. Oh, I totally actually forgot about that. Wait, I want to chastise him more real quick. If I may. You said that TMR I actually have this written down. You said
you know what?
You said TMR restricted was an account of truth. And okay, wait, yeah, wait, this is a good point to make. You first tried to get out of the EDA by saying she took on a different account of truth. No, she doesn't.
Yeah,
she doesn't. TMR restricted is a principle about truth making, not truth. When I wrote about TMR restricted, I was trying to meet the challenge from truth maker maximalists against relaxed realism. That is confused, but I don't think that matters, at least in the debate, because y'all just went past it and he reasserted it, mob, the dilemma, in which Kayj then brought up the conceptual role semantics, which is correct.
Maybe.
I mean, that is what else you want to prompt him for?
I have.
My bad.
I have it all written down. Like, I wrote down.
Yeah, I mean,
what they said.
You were for sure paying more attention than I was.
I flowed to use the term. I flowed the debate on the paper.
Dude, I bet Mob's sitting there so fucking happy because sure I won, whatever, but I just got chastised by all the fucking.
Stop rubbing it into Mob. This
is horrible. Rubbing it into Mob.
So, are you guys like atheists on the panel or?
Oh my god!
W question.
I appreciate it. This is a good meta-ethical question.
Yeah, well, it would have been nice if I could have, oh wait, the person that wrote this paper was Evan and Mustafa. Oh, let me reach out to Evan right quick before this debate so I can further my view. He's done school. It's summer or close, whatever.
If you asked me about this, I would have told you, not to do it. I would have said, don't ever bring up anything I've written in a TikTok debate. That's what I would have said. Okay.
Well, to be fair, I was reading Karini's.
To be fair. That's what
the reason I mashed this together.
I just want to say, happy birthday, Kayj.
Oh yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Kayj.
I didn't know it was your birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
What a nice present to get dressed down by somebody you respect.
Cakes and candles, bro. Cakes and candles.
The reason I mashed your two concepts together was because I had read because your work, and I was waiting for it in June, and then I, got busy and completely forgot about it. And so then as the debate was happening, so I'm like, oh fuck, wait, I know Evan posted papers in June, and then there was like 4 papers posted, and I'm like, holy fuck, I gotta lock in. So then I read all of that.
But you didn't mash anything together. Like, you don't. I just don't even. I mean, I get the view in a way, but like you. I mean, in a way, the view might be inconsistent. Like, the truth-making stuff and the Minogian semantics are explicitly referentialist. So they deny conceptual role semantics. And you're trying to get out of them, at least, the truth-making, the tripartite truth-making view that Mustafa and I give with the really true, non-trivially true, and then non-ontologically or, trivially true, or exists, whatever. The whole point of that is to account for certain features of discourse, like how we talk about fictional characters versus moral mathematical entities versus
chairs, rocks, trees, whatever. But it works only with referentialist semantics, because we're not saying anything about the conceptual role of the terms. We're saying that the role of these terms is to refer to certain things, right? We don't say that they're playing inferential roles in discourse. So when you're not mixing them together, you're just making what seems almost to be a blatantly inconsistent view.
Yeah, but so I initially read that, well, the normative, was it modal nothingness, normative nothingness, or however it's titled, I don't remember. I had read that, and I'm like, okay, this makes sense. And I had talked about it on TikTok. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. And I said, okay, well, this is how I'm using it to refer to this. Somebody said, well, how do you know you're referring? I think it was Liam that said, well, how do you know you're referring to this? I'm like, oh, well, this word picks out a concept. How do you, like, what's a concept? And I was like confused, and I'm like, well, I don't actually know how I cash out concept on this view. And so I sort of just got terrified and just abandoned it entirely, just like left the project because I thought it was untenable. That's when I probably should have been like, well, maybe I should reach out to one of those to see what they say. I just didn't do that, so that's my bad.
But it's not like you just didn't do anything. It's like you did something. You mix these two things together when, in a sense, you can. That's what you did. Like what you should do is just turn to someone like,
you a bitch. Your girlfriend chopped as fuck.
On God. What you should have done is just go from Amy Thomason. I can link you her paper and maybe espouse her view. But I don't know why. What did you get out of butchering my work?
Yeah, so you remember when I said I'm terrified for the debate? Right, that question was what I was terrified of having. And you think I'd be better prepared for it?
I don't understand the utility of bringing it up. You just wasted time, and you didn't need it.
Well, like
all the points that you did successfully, all it needed was the conceptual role semantics.
Are you asking me how do I link? Like, what's even remotely the relevance between the two?
I'm asking why even bring up the truth-making stuff.
Oh, because I don't think that they're reducible, and the type of account.
You don't need truth maker. Like, in fact, you can be a truth maker maximalist and still think they're irreducible.
Wait. Oh fuck! I guess Well, how could? How much PEP is true if there's? Well, wouldn't it be reducible? Well, no, the maker wouldn't be reduced. I see what's being
You could just say the truth maker is a normative entity. I don't like if you're saying ontologically reduced, but you can still have relaxed realism if you take on conceptual role semantics. And you articulate it that way.
Well, this is good. I do want to develop this view.
Real quick, let me address Charsky. Listen.
Who? Oh.
Charsky, Hegel fan, in the comments. Listen to me. I agree with you. I was forced to vote. I didn't want to vote. But I can't help it. Like, what Mob has to do is point out that it's a butchered view. Like, the debate is a closed space.
At what fucking cost?
I'm not the one debating or critiquing Kayj. Okay, so it's not my fault. Mob is I'm saying in the debate. I know I'm doing that now. But I'm saying what Mob needs to do is in the debate point out those criticisms. I actually think Mob gave a very salient criticism, which is this view. I think it might just collapse into quasi-realism. That's actually controversial in the literature. But he brought it up in his closing. He should have pursued that. He should have asked a question like, how is this different from quasi-realism? In the first cross-ex, you know what? I think Kayj would not be able to answer that question. I think it would have been a wash. But he didn't do that.
All right. I'm just going to go jump off a fucking bridge.
Can I point out, even though you guys voted for Kayj, you're being far more critical of his performance than you are of Mob's?
Well, there's a reason for that. One, I already gave criticisms of Mob's. But two, it's because I know more about what Kayj is doing than what Mob is doing. Because I wrote the stuff that Kayj is taking from. I wrote it. And, I'm also, like all authors, they're probably somewhat personally attached to their view and don't like seeing it butchered. So that is what explains the difference.
You fucking dickhead. Anybody else want to give him a layup real quick?
I love you, Kayj.
Does anybody else want to just throw a fucking ball in the air and make a Michael Jordan dunk in his nut?
I mean, do you have any? I mean, Destroyer, do you have anything to say about what abomination just occurred?
I'm never gonna let this down.
Hey, Evan, why do you think Kayj did so poorly?
That's terrible.
Moral realism. I don't know. That's what I asked him. Bullshit. I said, "Why did you even bring up the truth-making stuff?" I don't know.
At this point, you got to think he's like actively trying to disappoint you.
Zach, I swear to God, I've had enough, bro. Let me live. Let me have my day.
You know, honestly, I mean, wait. Am I allowed to rescind my vote?
Yeah.
Hey, no. Hey, wait, what the hell's going on? No.
Yes.
Am I allowed to rescind my vote?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Who are you going to listen to, me or that guy?
I see multiple people saying yes and no. Does the host say I can do it?
No, that's it.
Well, this guy's nothing to you.
You're allowed to do it.
It's locked in. You can't rescind the
Detroyer, can we change our vote?
It's based on the debate. No, that's it. It was
not changing. Now we're silencing judges.
I'm being silenced.
Now we're silencing judges.
I'm just kidding. Relax.
Not only do I okay, you know what I shouldn't have done? I probably would have agreed with you. I shouldn't have taken anything. I shouldn't have taken anything from your view, right? I should have just said, well, it's probably not a good idea to quote Harry Potter in front of J.K. Rowling, right? Probably not the best idea.
I mean, you really should have just done us locked in, bro. That's all you had to do.
I was gonna say, okay, lock in, put it in square brackets. What you should have done.
That made total fucking sense. You can't even say anything negative about that.
You should have just used the conceptual role. I mean, well, here's a question, because you invoked it, but can you explain the conceptual role semantics to me?
Parfit's view of it?
Parfit doesn't take on a conceptual semantic role view.
Who am I talking about then? What the fuck was it? Conceptual roles was trying to remember
one often meets his destiny on the road he takes to avoid it.
I don't think it was. No, it wasn't. What work did I get it from? I thought I got it from Reasons and Persons. I'm almost. No.
You got Tai lunged, okay?
I'm almost confident I got it from Reasons and Persons, but I could be very wrong.
Oh wait, I have a question. Detroyer and Evan, if you guys could change your vote, then
hey, somebody get this fucking Zach guy out of here. He's a piece of shit. All right.
I would not change my vote.
Okay, Evan, would you? If you could.
Well, look, Mom, if it makes you feel better, sure. Sure, I won, but what the fuck is this?
What is the role of the ballot? That's a good question. Is it to punish?
I don't know.
Is it to punish people that don't understand what's happening, or to punish people that don't make the right technical moves in the debate?
I'm pretty confident. I said that the role.
Bad arguments part of it.
I thought I said the role.
Also part of it.
No, I mean, on a serious note, the role of it is it's neither. It's we need to assess the debate based on the moves the debaters make. When I do that, I mean, I think there are certain things Mob should have done more often than Kayj. But if the role of the ballot is to punish the most confused person in the room, then I probably would change my vote. But that's not what it is.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Mob, how do you feel after 2 minutes or maybe 25 seconds of critique for you, and then 17 minutes of just, hey, Kayj, everything you did. I get it. How do you feel?
17 minutes is conservative, actually.
I feel a little better, but it's like a 3-0. So.
Does it fucking matter when one of them was A, forced to vote, and B, spent at least half an hour to spend. My wife called me and said, I watched that debate. This guy's really upset with you. And I'm like, no, don't worry. It's don't worry. I fucking butchered all of his work. Next time I'm calling, you know what? Fuck you, Evan. I'm calling Amy in the morning, and we're gonna publish together.
Or when you debate divinity next week or whatever.
Oh my god! Can y'all please debate on this topic? I'll help you, Kay.
I can see it, right? Because they both do the meta stuff. So.
Yes, wait, Kayj, I'll help you. That will be a beautiful display.
I feel like you're just finding another opportunity to bully me.
You can't.
What? I would never do that.
You would never do that. Bullshit! Look at the last 30 minutes. I have good inductive support.
I'm giving you apt criticisms of what you're doing wrong, so you can change for the better.
That's true. Yeah, I could see that.
If you prep him for it, you can't be a judge next month, or at least for that.
Oh, that's right. Well, because I want to. Oh, you're right.
He just wants to fuck up Evan. It has nothing to do with me. Sorry, Liam.
At the same time, you want to make sure you want to train him on your view and stuff, but you also want to.
No, I never said that. I'm just gonna help him. I'm gonna help him with the conceptual role semantics. I don't need to be mentioned once in that debate.
Okay.
All right. I mean, if you want to be a judge next week, or if you want to help Kayj,
I won't prep him on one. I want to be a judge only if they're again debating meta ethics, because then there's a reason for me to be a judge.
Yeah.
I'm certainly
meta ethics are going to be prominent in the next rounds.
All right. I mean, if him and Liam debate on meta ethics, I do want to judge that, but otherwise.
Dude, he's giving Jim a free fucking ride to the fight, like a free fucking ride.
No.
Freer than Stevie right now.
Divinity's going up against Joey. On veganism.
Divinity.
On veganism.
Well, wait.
Joey and then Jim
on veganism.
Kayj then or something?
Kayj. Yeah, it's gonna be. Oh shit! It's gonna be Kayj and Jim.
Kayj and Jim. What the fuck are they gonna debate about?
Aesthetic realism. It's true.
Well, yeah, it could be whatever they want. I suggest
for aesthetic realism.
What?
Yes.
Are you really gonna? Do you guys really want to debate that, Kayj?
Yeah, I'm dead. That was the whole point. That's the reason I entered the tournament. That's the whole reason.
Okay, I mean, sure. Yeah. You guys could debate that. Like, if he is serious, if you guys, I'll put you guys in a group chat. Yeah. So Divinity and Joey are gonna debate about veganism. Divinity thinks that it's false. That veganism is
that's false.
The humans ought to eat. Humans ought to be vegan. Divinity answered false to that, and Joey answered true to that. So I'm put them up against each other.
You're such a fucking sadist. I hope you know
you're
that.
Giving Divinity all the. Oh, actually, no, I'm not.
That's easy. You think?
Honestly, if Liam uses certain objections, depending on how you frame the proposition, it low-key is easy.
Yeah,
it's easy to say that humans ought not to be vegan.
I mean, if he uses causal and efficacy objections and actually knows the economics, I think he'll do fine.
I mean,
don't tell Eric that.
Shit.
That's kind of utilitarian.
Do you still?
No, you don't even.
Evan, do you still feel the need to do what you said earlier after fucking disparaging me for 45 minutes?
Oh yeah, Eric and I are still private calling you. After
Why? For what?
You don't get to escape. Because listen, yes, it's happening.
I feel like this is.
Look, you don't have a
you don't have.
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's like your parents are like, we need to have a talk.
It is, dude. It's like that. I don't know First of all, I don't know Eric that well. I'm not even sure if any of you know who the fuck I am. And so that's step one. But imagine being put in a group chat with two people and they say, "Yeah, we're gonna gank you after this." It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. What if we're gonna tell you very nice things? You don't know.
I have good reason to think that's false. I have really good reason to think that's false.
Oh, I also do want to say about what you said, Mom. I do not take on the causal and efficacy objection. I'm just saying, nor do I even think it succeeds or not. I actually don't know because I don't know the economics. But if Liam gets good on it, he's rhetorical. I think he could win. Is all I'm saying.
How does that not assume like consequentialism though?
I don't think you would take that way.
I mean, the way that he could articulate it is something like, if there is causal and efficacy, then it doesn't actually cause any more, animals to die or whatever. And then it's within your self-interest to, eat meat. I don't see why that wouldn't be in line with egoist ethics.
Yeah, but you could like reductio that with other scenarios.
Well, I mean, I think you can reductio his view in a billion ways. It's stupid, but...
Wait, Detroit, how come you think the motivation stuff, didn't matter? I'm curious. So I thought that mattered.
Well, I mean, you just say, although I don't think he really said this, that he doesn't think that he's not a motivational internalist. Like I don't, or he doesn't think that the moral facts are necessarily motivate him, or whether you believe them or not. And then what? Like I don't, like what's the issue? I think you said you were going to bring up some problems for if you take some externalist view. I think you said something to that effect, but you didn't really say much. But then he didn't really say that if he's an externalist very clearly either, so.
You guys, sorry to interrupt.
That is genuine.
Wondering, what is this debates tournament thing? How is it structured? What does it mean? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt anybody, but someone fill me in.
So there's this thing called debate, right? It might be considered a sport where two minds go and attack a topic with their own, right? We'd never take from other people's views, their own views on the matter to reach a substantive conclusion.
So isn't it like a subjective topic and both people have their opinions and that's it? Or there's something more to it?
There's a topic, two people disagree, those people talk.
And how do you win? Is it just the
you
judge?
Motivate your positions.
Judges.
You motivate your position successfully such that the judges rule in favor. And when they rule in favor, it's possibly necessary that they, ridicule you for 45 minutes after with very linear and helpful critiques.
You're making me feel bad. I'm trying to...
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I inspiring guilt, Evan?
I was a little guilty while doing it. I'm just saying you gotta change your behavior.
I will. Don't worry. Next time I'll be a fucking Thomason, and when I am, I'll publish something, motherfucker. I'm just kidding. I would never publish. I'm too scared to do that.
I missed most of the debate. Were you actually able to use Evan's view successfully against Mom?
No. Shut up! Shut up! Don't say no. Shut up.
How
question.
Unsuccessfully was Kayj using your view?
Shut up. Next question. Next fucking question.
Guys,
I just wanted to say happy birthday, Kayj.
He wasn't faithful to
you.
the view, but now we're just beating a dead horse.
Now we are
into bits. I don't.
30 minutes ago, when it just turns to fucking, Rock Lee getting beaten the fuck out of by Gara, right? Like we've all watched that 1,000 times, right?
I think what you should do is you should just cut me chastising Kayj out of the part of the YouTube video for this, so he doesn't have to relive it. Okay. I think that's
going to be Coco's going to make that the opening. You don't understand. Last debate, or a while ago, I was a judge, and the opening was just me yelling at Haru for the dumb fucking shit that he said. It wasn't even related to the debates. It was just me yelling at Haru.
Well, all I'm saying is, host B. Let's give him a good birthday wish, and let's just cut that out.
You guys, thank you for explaining. I'm gonna go.
Happy birthday,
thanks.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, sir. Are you going to give me a gift and not prompt Evan to ridicule me again?
What? Oh, like a coin gift? I already gave you one.
No. Just don't prompt Evan to ridicule me.
Oh my God, you have 6-7 coins.
Yeah, like 50
Oh my
of those
God.
for me. Listen, who's the matchup in the next round? Have you decided?
Can't believe you decided.
Yeah, me and Jim. Aesthetic realism is true.
Liam has gotten the easy route every time.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, Kaysen.
Well, it was either that or Jim was going to get
you, youngins?
Liam, listen to Liam's path here. He had to debate a guy, this Lehman character, who was trying to defend that moral realism isn't possible without God, and then he got a bye in the second round. And now he's gonna get. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Joey.
Yeah, come on, wait. We got to
easiest
change this bracket. We got to change this bracket.
He's the easiest of the three people left. I think Liam should get a tougher matchup.
100%. Given you probably have the most rhetorical prowess.
He's gonna get. But look, think about it, right? It's either that or Jim was gonna have an easy route, or Kayj is gonna have an easy route.
No, Kayj had to go through mob.
Yeah. Kayj had to go through. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and got fucking battle scarred in the process, mind you.
Who did Jim debate in round 1? I forget.
Jim debated hyperintentionality.
I think Jim and Liam should get paired up.
I think Jim and Kayj. The whole reason I did this tournament was to get the aesthetic realism prompt with Jim. That was the whole point.
Yeah, I'll let him get his wish.
Well, here's what we're gonna do. Kayj and
wants
Bob,
this. Kayj wants
you're
this.
both
Kayj wants this.
you're both getting a talking to from Eric and I. So disperse. We're going.
What topics do Liam and Joey disagree on?
I feel like I have free
veganism.
will.
Oh, come on. You too, Mob. You're getting talked to as well.
Well, Joey says that humans ought to be vegan.
Joey says what?
Humans ought to be vegan. The answer true.
I just started learning stuff like 2 weeks ago. Okay.
I know. But here, wait. Thank you for letting me judge. It was super fun. I hope you all have a good weekend.
All right, thank you for judging.
Yeah. Okay, Mob and Kayj, we gotta go.
All right.
Listen,
I feel like I have free will.
I haven't poked my nose in the meta-ethics stuff that much.
Is he gonna call it?
I do think Mob's sort of reductio he ran about Kayj not being motivated, I think was a good one. But I mean, obviously there's stuff I'm missing because everyone voted for Kayj. So, and obviously Friction and Evan are smarter than me. I don't know about this Yaw fellow, but the other two are definitely smarter than me. So,
you guys atheists. I just want to point out that I did help Mob a bit. Adam, I told him that you could put Kayj in a trap.
Sounds like you helped him lose.
Listen, he asked me a question in Discord. I told him, okay, well, Kayj has like an option where he can go here, but then he's gonna get fucked because then he can't disprove.
What does John want? I mean, he was just up here. Who needs to hear from John today?
I don't know. I continuously am getting kicked for some reason. So
what the hell? Where did Mob and Kayj go? Are they having a meeting outside of this?
Probably. I mean, I told Mob that he could like put Kayj in a situation where Kayj can't disprove every theory.
Okay, so we're gonna get a veganism debate and an aesthetic realism debate next round.
That's gonna be good. I do think that they should just do Kayj and Liam though, because then there's a chance that Jim wins, and then there's a chance that Kayj wins.
Isn't Kayj vegan?
Yeah.
Well, couldn't Kayj and Liam debate veganism?
Well, that's what I'm saying, because then last round could be Kayj and Jim.
Well, actually, Jim should get the. It should be Jim and Liam. I mean, for fuck's sakes, I mean,
both of them.
Liam got an easy first round and a bye in the second round. I mean, this just isn't fair.
Kayj wants this.
Yeah. Well,
Kayj is the one that wants it.
Wow.
Literally, he said the only point he came to this was to challenge Jim on aesthetic realism.
I've actually never seen Jim debate somebody like higher tier.
This is what Kayj wants. I'm gonna honor that.
Okay, well,
and Jim wants it too.
If everyone did what Kayj wanted, we'd all be in quite the pickle.
I'm saying Jim also wants it.
Same with Jim.
Wow.
Well, they want each other. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, then we should just let them have each other, I guess.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
It's like a weird homosexual aura here.
Yeah.
How is it weird?
Yeah, what's weird about being gay? Nothing weird about that.
Nothing weird.
2025, wake up.
Okay, so AR, I had a question.
Wait, what did you say? What did you say, Friction? Say that again.
Well, I said not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What's the question? What's the question?
Yeah, so why did we have Friction, Evan, and then Ya as the judges? Like, Ya, comparatively, has only done philosophy for like a little over a year.
I know.
I think Ya did fine as a judge. He took notes and he paid attention.
Yeah, Ya is.
No, I love
What's
Ya.
wrong?
Ya's my boy, but I was just like the type of.
No, do you think he underperformed as a judge?
Well, it might just be the case that perhaps Friction and Evan are just overqualified for the job.
Well, Ya doesn't know much about meta-ethics as the other two, but Ya is trained, or he studied classical or formal logic.
Well,
I think he's actually a substitute.
Correct. I think they agreed on every winner in every debate, didn't they?
Oh, Yo was a substitute?
Yes, I didn't agree
not a
with
substitute
everything.
judge. I'm saying that I think he's a substitute in logic, like as a teacher.
Wait, which debate had a dissenting opinion?
Ya isn't a substitute teacher in logic.
They all agree. They all agree.
He might at some point be what's it called?
Things that were said were
a tutor.
Oh, tutor. Sorry, not substitute. My bad.
Wait, I mean, hold on. What did you say, Detroiter? Say that again.
I said the judgments were all in alignment, but not everything said was in alignment.
Oh yeah. But I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything against him. Like again, Yuz in my camp. He's a theist. So like, we're chill with each other. But it was strange seeing it.
I think went first on every round to judge, and he picked the same conclusion on each one as both Friction and Evan.
Yeah, so that's amazing. Yeah, that's
something to say. I mean, I'm just saying he seemed to be. I mean, like, well, Detroit pointed out there's different reasons how they got there, but
yeah,
they seem to agree on the conclusion. So I think there's something to say there.
That is actually true. That is true, sir.
I just want to point out I think Mob should have won. There's a go. That's an L on the judges.
When is the next debate, AR?
Next week.
You can't come.
Same day, same time.
You can't come. You're not invited.
We don't know about the times yet, but yeah, same day.
There's not enough room for you to come. There's just so many seats.
Yeah. The bowl is full.
We're sold out.
I'll be here.
No, you're not invited. I'm gonna block you on this account the day before. Yeah.
Are you a mod in here, sir?
Why don't you click on my cute little PFP and find out, motherfucker?
I clicked it, but it doesn't show me anything.
Well, maybe they removed it after that remark I just made, but no, I'm a mod. I'm a mod. I got my mods.
Yeah, it definitely says moderator.
What's up, Don? How are you?
Hey, Don, you an atheist?
Nah, I wouldn't say that.
Hey, Don, do you believe in evolution?
Hey, Don, is it your birthday?
Actually, yeah. How do you know?
Look at that.
Holy shit.
What a coincidence.
1 in 365 chance of being right, and I got there.
Wait, Don, get out of that box. Maybe if I join there, it'll be my birthday.
Well, what about February 29th?
That was pretty good, sir. You should try gambling.
Well, February 29th is like a free day. It's like a free space. I would have won either way.
Wait, here, sir, guess mine. Try and do mine.
Just guess your exact birthday?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess it's kind of far away, but not too far.
I didn't hear it. Be within a week.
Okay. My intuition's telling me it's kind of far away, but not too far. I'm gonna guess
March 13th.
I'm gonna guess. Hold on, it's my turn. Okay. I'm gonna guess April 12th.
No.
Damn.
Not even fucking close.
Well, you're not fucking close. When's your birthday?
January.
January what?
18th.
Okay. Right around MLK Day.
You know, it's my birthday.
October 2nd.
My birthday's literally in front of your face always.
It's November something. I can't remember what it is. November 13th?
It must be your username. AR13, is that his name?
Oh, I'm going to go with...
Very close, very close.
December is always in front of my face.
Hey, Jeff for True thinks that the judges did a bad job judging him last round.
That guy? The same guy who joined the...
He wrote a book, though.
Really? That's the same guy who joined the first round of debates and went, I don't care about the money, I'm just going to win this.
Who said that?
For sure.
Christianity is an evil cult of manipulative liars. And the
Get there.
And the Jews aren't real.
That was wild.
Did he actually say that?
Nah, he didn't say it like that. He didn't even say that.
He said that everyone chooses to be Jewish.
That's
he implied that there isn't enough ethnicity.
Yeah,
he's saying that you could.
Yeah, he said because nobody can track their lineage back to Jacob.
But then
I don't understand what that means.
But then I got into then I pointed out how Christianity is different than Judaism, because Christianity kind of popped up all over the place. Where Judaism's like one group of people, they came from like one location. They like share the same bloodline, right? And he's like, well, Christianity counts as an ethnicity too, because they share culture.
Isn't that the bold mythicist guy?
Yeah.
Right.
It's fucking hilarious.
He's a loon.
I mean, they're like mythicists are like astrologers too, like what astronomers are. You know what I mean? Like they're like astrologers.
Well, not all of them. So I think there are mythicist models that can work, like Carrier's. I think could. I just think Carrier has rather bad hermeneutics.
I don't think any mythicist position is tenable at all.
Well, do you know what Carrier's model is?
It doesn't matter. Like I just go with the mainstream historical model.
Sir, is like a legendary legendary figure hypothesis? Is that mythicist or no?
Like that Jesus was a real person and legends developed from him?
Well, like
I would say
there could have been a real person or people that were all formed into one. You know, legends about.
That sounds like
that's
agnostic.
mythicist.
That sounds like you're being agnostic.
No,
I am
I'll say that's
agnostic.
mythicist. No, that's mythicist.
Yeah. What's it called? You realize that a lot of the historical models disagree with each other, right, Don?
Which one? I'm talking about the mainstream one.
Well, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean by mainstream one.
Yeah, so the mainstream historical position on Jesus existing as a person.
Well, there's disagreements. There's disagreements over that. There's disagreements over like what attributes you can know about him.
That he existed.
No, not over that. I'm just saying there's different models on how they get there.
But did he exist though? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I think he did. But I'm saying there's different models that kind of get to that conclusion, and they disagree about different things about him.
Yeah, right, so they might disagree about superficial things, but fundamentally they all agree that he existed, and there's some minimal facts that they agree about Jesus.
Well, like, for example, like Carrier's model isn't really that far from someone like, John Dominic Crossan or somebody like that, right? But John Dominic Crossan thinks Jesus, or maybe a better example would be, who's that guy that thinks that the Odyssey influenced Mark? I can't think of his name right now. But like Carrier's model wouldn't actually be that far from his, but Carrier's a mythicist and he isn't, right? So, like when you say they all agree he existed, yeah, but there's different models and how they get there that largely don't agree with each other.
What do you mean by different models? I guess I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, like the guy I talked about, the Odyssey guy. What can't I think? Dennis McDonald. Jesus Christ, I couldn't think of his name. Him and Richard Miller have a model that's like all the stories we have about Jesus either came from like Old Testament like stories or from the Odyssey, and that Mark was largely influenced by that stuff. Then the Gospel writers basically.
I would make that mythicist position. The kind of position I'm saying is the mainstream is Jesus of Nazareth existed. He was crucified by Pontius Pilate, or he was baptized by John the Baptist. That's the Jesus I'm saying that the mainstream historians hold to, and then you have a bunch of weirdos who like try to conjure up legends and mythical ideas about it around that, like this fringe theorists.
The John the Baptist thing. Those kind of like facts about Jesus. There's more and more disagreement each year. Like, because
Yeah, but it's still a
the John the
fringe
Baptist
theory.
thing, the John the Baptist thing is based on the criterion of embarrassment, and it could just be the case that the John the Baptist movement was attached to Jesus because John the Baptist was a popular movement.
Or because he existed, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying, how would you tell which one how would you tell which one is the case?
Yeah. You could maybe use something like Occam's razor or something that's more parsimonious. I think that will get you closer to the truth.
Wait,
You don't need to conjure up.
Why would it be more parsimonious that he actually baptized Jesus as opposed to that person's story just getting attached to Jesus because he was popular? Right? We see this happening with other people.
Yeah, because now when you say it's getting attached to Jesus just because it's popular, now you've added another element of why Jesus as part of his story. You could just say it's because John the Baptist baptized Jesus. You don't have to posit another theory on top of that.
Jim, can you hear me?
Yeah. That's why that would be more parsimonious.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Who won?
I mean, what's your position, sir?
Kayj won.
Kayj won.
Kayj won, Jim won, and Liam won.
Yeah, Kayj won, but then he got shit on by the judges, but like specifically Evan for like 10 minutes straight.
Damn.
I'm a bare minimum historicist, so I think Jesus existed. I think he was crucified by Pontius Pilate. He had followers that like claim to have visions of him or whatever, but that's about all we can know.
Are you a Christian?
No.
What are you?
I'm an atheist.
Okay.
I'm a devout.
I mean, that's fine. Like, I'm okay with your position. Just, yeah. I don't know why you were challenging me so hard on that.
No, I'm just saying, like, I just think we should differentiate between, like, the carrier thesis and then, like, thesis of, like, some mythicists here on TikTok that just say stuff like, there's no first-hand sources about Jesus. Like, those kind of arguments are just really, really dumb. But, like, Carrier has, like, a fleshed-out model, you know? I'm just saying we should be careful to, like...
I get what you're saying. Look, I will say Carrier has done more to prove his model than any person I've ever seen. Have you ever come across this guy called Christ Before Jesus? The cowboy hat.
Yeah, we all know Jaren.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, is it just me, or is that just, like, the most, like, tinfoil hat fucking theory that you've ever heard? Like, I've spoken to him a couple of times, and I've asked him this question before, like, okay, you've come up with this style, like that's his whole thing, like stylometric analysis, and I'm like,
something you may not know is Sir actually debated him on this topic.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I don't see how.
But do you think that's valid though? Like, because everybody knows about Styler, right? Presumably, but they don't reach the same conclusions that him and his co-author do. And whenever I ask him about that, he always goes, well, look, it's because these guys work for Christian institutions and it's in their best interest to uphold the classic model, and that's the only reason they do it. It's like, well, come on now.
You know what's
now
interesting?
It's a conspiracy theory.
What's kind of interesting is, okay, so the conclusions he gets from the stylometric analysis he does, there are scholars that get to that same conclusion for different reasons. But that conclusion doesn't lead to a mythicist model. Like, that conclusion at best would just lead to all the texts we have were highly influenced by second century authors. Which that's like the model that, like, I don't know if you want to look them up, but scholars like Marcus Vincent, Jack Bull, like kind of like the more New Age patristic scholars present, is that like the texts we have in the canonical Bible are all second century.
Yeah, but then he uses that as an anchor in his book to say that because we know this is from the second century, somehow that means that it could not have been about the actual Jesus. I've never understood that leap.
Yeah, that's
the part I don't get.
Yeah, well then he says stuff like that I highly disagree with. Like, there's like this pre-existent Christ figure before we get to the historical stuff.
Oh,
and he points to like known pseudepigraphia and forged texts like the Hadrian letter, which like we know is a forgery. And Hadrian talks about them worshiping the Serapis Christ person, right? And we know that that letter is a forgery, right? It's 4th century forgeries, and it's just stuff like that. Like it's like those kind of things. I don't know. Like if you just look into those claims, I don't know why that would motivate someone to accept the entire thesis, because clearly it's just like they're bad pieces of evidence to point to.
Do you know the one thing that where I think he lost credibility to me when we were talking about Pilate, and he made this whole argument about how in the Bible Pilate is referred to as a prefect, right? And then I brought up the fact that, well, Pilate is actually being verified from a coin where it says he was the procurator, right? And he said, well, you see, that proves the Bible was wrong. But then I'm like, wait, hold on. What if the Bible
I
was
thought
written?
the Bible. My memory might be escaping me, but I thought the Bible used the right term and Tacitus didn't.
No, it's the other way around. So the Bible says prefect, right? But the coin that was found, or extra biblical sources, say the procurator, right? But the simple explanation of that
I know
is,
Tacitus got the term wrong. I don't know about the Bible. Hold on.
well, he did and he didn't, right? The explanation is that when, by the time that Tacitus is writing, or whoever writes about him as a procurator, he's using a title which at that time the governor of Judea was known by a different title. So if you're writing to people, contemporaries, you wouldn't use a historical title. You would use what people understood to be the leader of, or the governor of Judea, right? It's like the example I gave him was, well, because I'm from the UK, right? The prime minister is our like president equivalent. Now, that hasn't been the title for the prime minister throughout history. If you go back to the like early 1900s, the title was First Lord of the Treasury. However, when people write history books now, they just say the prime minister, because that's what people understand now. It doesn't mean that the person we're referring to wasn't the leader of the government at that time. It just means he has a different title. I'm just using a title that people understand now.
Yeah, so you're saying it might be a more like generic term?
It's like isn't that what like an interpolation is? Like you're writing to your current audience, right? Based on the understanding that they
No, that's
know
not what
you
an
mean.
interpolation is.
Okay, but what is the device
I think what people like Jaron would be arguing there is that it's anachronistic, not interpolated.
Well, yeah, that's his argument. But my argument is that it's not anachronistic. Well, it is anachronistic, but there's an explanation for it. Right, the text was written after this person existed, and by the time it was written, the title of the governor of Judea wasn't prefect; it was procurator. So,
yeah, maybe I don't know a lot about that.
Would use.
That could be the case.
Yeah, and I gave him the prime minister example, and he was like, "Well, we know that's not the case." I'm like, "Well, based on what?" And it's like, "Well, because we know that's not what happened." I'm like, "Well, all right, now you're just saying." Because
I think it depends on what model that's being engaged with, right? I mean, like to me, it doesn't matter if the gospel writers have anachronistic terms in them, because I think the gospels were written after the diaspora, and I don't think they knew anybody that knew Jesus. So they get a lot of stuff, I think, wrong about the sort of general area and stuff about like locations and shit. So I wouldn't be surprised if they got titles and stuff wrong too. That wouldn't be surprising to me. And I don't know what that would do to the theory. But if you're talking to like maybe someone that holds that these are like eyewitness accounts, like the historically recorded the information or whatever, it might do something with someone that holds that view.
Yo, come to my live.
Huh?
Okay. He wants us to shut this one down.
Okay.
Wait, who said that?
Yeah, come to my live. No, AR. Go to AR's live. AR.
I don't know what that is.
You know, AR_11_13. That's my @.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.